Number one, be thankful. That's how you start making the most of a day like this. Be thankful for what you already have. Now, that shouldn't be a problem in America. Everything we need is available here. Everybody wants to come here, right? The last time I was here, I did a little presentation. Everybody wants to come to America. People haven't been plotting and scheming for the last 40 years saying, if I could just get to Poland, everything would be okay. No, they want to come to America. Why? Because everything is available here. All the books, all the sermons, all the churches, schools, instruction, inspiration, capital, markets, challenges, information, and seminars you need, everything is available here. This is America. So number one, let's be thankful for what we already have. Thanksgiving opens up the doors, the windows, and the channels. Be thankful for what you already have. I did a seminar one weekend up at the ranch in Clear Lake. We have a lodge up there, nice setting, high valley, high serenity ranch for the weekend, Friday evening through Sunday. People drove in from all over California. I got there late Friday afternoon. Everyone had pretty much already arrived. I couldn't believe the parking lot. Continentals, Eldorados, Mercedes, Cadillacs, even a Ferrari and a Rolls-Royce. Unbelievable. I walked in, and it was a good-looking crowd like this, ready for the weekend seminar. My opening remarks were, "Ladies and gentlemen, I think the rest of the world would find it strange that we have all come here this weekend to try to figure out how to do better. I think the rest of the world would say, I don't understand. This guy in a Rolls-Royce has to come to a seminar to figure out how to get another one of these Rolls-Royces? Unbelievable." Anyway, let's be thankful. Here's what locks up the doors and channels to receiving more. Cynicism. Cynicism locks you away and prevents you from learning more. Being a cynic about the past and the future, the marketplace, people, institutions, the setup, yourself, and your chances locks away all the opportunities for good things to flow your way. So, good advice today. Start off by being thankful. Here's number two. Listen well. Now, I understand it's a challenge with life continuing outside these four walls. Family, business associates, the market economy, and everything else are all out there pulling at your attention. But for just a few hours, try to bring your focus in here and do the best you can to listen well. Lastly, take good notes. Be a good student today. I'm not here to entertain you, as you can tell by my opening joke. I wouldn't make it in Las Vegas. We don't have a dog and pony show today. No entertainment, just ideas. So, take some good notes. Someone recently showed me notes they took 21 years ago at one of my seminars in Los Angeles. They said, "I still use these notes to help me in my business and my relationships with my family." I'd like the notes you take today to become that valuable for you. That would make it worth my investment to come here and spend my time and energy with you. I want this investment to pay off, and one way it can is if you take good notes and use what makes sense to you. What I love most is hearing the stories that come back to me from this audience. 6 weeks, 6 months, or even 6 years from now, someone will contact me and say, "The things you shared that day got me thinking. I started making changes. Let me tell you what's happened to my business, my sales career, and my family relationships." That's what makes it worth it for me. Not the money, but the return. Something you can't buy with money. If someone says, "Thank you for touching my life and taking the time to invest in me," that's what I'm all about. So, be a good student today. And here's an important note. Don't be a follower, be a student. Take advice, but not orders. Gather information, but don't let someone else order your life. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Excellent note to make. Ensure your actions come from your own conclusions, not what someone else tells you to do. Take what others say, process it, think about it, and ponder it. If it makes you wonder, if it makes you think, then it's valuable. When you take action, make sure it's based on your own conclusions. Following these simple guidelines can make your learning process speedy, swift, and powerful. Your learning curve can go up, and applying it to your business, life, family, conversations, and equities of all kinds will bring progress. When I met a teacher willing to share with me, it turned my life around. The progress I made was unbelievable. I want to review what we talked about last time, the 5 major pieces to the puzzle. This lays a good foundation for everything else I want to share with you today. We've got a lot of subjects to cover, so we're going to go rather swiftly. Put on your mental track shoes and run with me today. I'll deal mostly in concepts and expect you to fill in a lot of the details. But let's lay this foundation again. These 5 major pieces are the title of my latest book, and they're valuable for laying a foundation. These are the fundamentals I learned between ages 25 and 30 from the teacher who taught me so well. Basics for sports, basics for your business, basics for the way you deal with your family. A few simple things, few basic things that if you practice every day can make all the difference in the world how it works out. I boiled it down to 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. Let's just review though. Number 1 is philosophy. Philosophy, philosophy. As I taught the last time I was here, philosophy. And my personal opinion is the major determining factor in how your life works out, philosophy. The major determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy, to form our philosophy, you got to think, got to use your mind, got to process ideas. And this whole process over a lifetime, starting way back here when we were children, schools that we've attended, our parents, our experiences, all this stuff that we process by the thinking process helps to develop our philosophy. And in my opinion, each person's personal philosophy is the major factor in how your life works out. Here's what I called it in that last presentation. When I was here, it's called the set of the sail. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail now. I used to think it was circumstances that ordered my life. If someone would have asked me, at age 25, Mr. John, how come you're not doing well? Pennies in your pocket, creditors calling, nothing in the bank behind on your promises to your family. You live in America, 25 years old, got a beautiful family, every reason to do well, and things are not going that well for you. What is wrong here? It would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. It would not have occurred to me when I got this lousy philosophy. And that's how come I got pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank. Things aren't working. Well, that would not have occurred to me. I found it much easier to blame the government, much easier to blame the tax problem. I used to say taxes are too high, top tax rate. When I first started paying taxes, 91%. Back then, when your income reached a certain level, all your income over that 91%. So I used to say that's too high. Now the top tax rate is about 33%, but people are still saying what taxes are due. See? But you can't use that anymore. If it's gone from 91 to 33, how could it be too high? Come on. I threw all that old excuse stuff away. Some people found it though, and they're using it these days. My old list. I used to blame the traffic. The weather used to blame circumstances, right? People saw them too. Too tall and too short. I'm too old. I was raised in obscurity, raised on a farm, parents of modest means. All the stuff, if you would ask me. How come you find yourself here, Mr. John, age 25, living in America, land of abundance and opportunity, pennies zero in the bank, not doing well, characters calling? It would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I found it easier to blame the company policy. I used to say, if this is all they pay, how do they expect you to do? Well, so I figured that, my future was going to be tied to what everybody else was arranging the economy and interest rates. I used to say things cost too much. That was my whole explanation, not my philosophy, until my teacher taught me better that this is where the problem was, my own personal philosophy. Here's what's exciting about each person's personal philosophy. That's what makes us different than dogs and animals, birds and cats and spiders and alligators. That's what makes us different than all other life forms. The ability to think, the ability to use your mind, the ability to process ideas and not just operate by instinct. In the winter, I'm telling you, the goose can only fly south. What if south doesn't look too good? Tough luck. It can only fly south. But see, human beings are not like a goose can only fly south. I mean, you could turn around, go north, you can go east, you can go west. You can order the entire process of your own life. And we do that, by the way, we think we do that by exercising our mind. We do that by processing ideas and come up with a better philosophy, a better strategy for our life goals, for the future, plans to achieve those goals. All this comes from developing our philosophy. Philosophy helps us to process what's available. Well, when we get here, we got seed and we got soil and we got some rain and we've got some hot sunshine and we've got some seasons. And what the miracle of life? Now the key is, what do you do with all this stuff? How do you turn all this stuff that's available here into equity and promise and lifestyle and dreams and future possibilities? All of this that's possible now with human beings. How do you take all this stuff and turn it into this equities and values? Well, it starts with philosophy. What is the seed? What is the soil? What is the sunshine? What is the rain? Is it possible to take some of each of all the stuff that's available and turn it into food, and turn it into value, and turn it into nourishment, and turn it into something spectacular and unique that no other life form can do? And the answer, yes, but you cannot deal with all this stuff and what to do with it unless you start refining your philosophy. Think, use your mind, come up with ideas and strengthen your philosophy. So the seed in the soil, in the rain, in the sunshine, this is called, the economy and the banks and the money and the schools and everything that's available out there processing information, what to do with all that and turn it into equity and value. That is the major challenge of life, my personal opinion. So each person's personal philosophy now is going to determine what you're going to do with seed and soil and sunshine and rain. Miracle, the change of seasons. That's it, my personal opinion. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. That's what the seminar for today help you to trim a better sail. You don't need a better economy. You don't need better seed and soil. In fact, when it comes to seed and soil and rain and sunshine and seasons and the miracle of life, that's all you got. Now, what if you blame everything else? Then you're blaming all you've got. If you blame the economy, the schools, the teachers, the sermons, the preachers, the marketplace, the company, and company policy, what else is there? When some people finish their blame list, there's nothing left. That's all there is. If you blame the only thing you have to work with, it's a colossal mistake. Not understanding that it's all you've got to work with is a fundamental error. If this is all you've got to work with, you can't change the seed, the soil, the rain, the sunshine, or the seasons. You can't say, I'll take 3 springs, 4 summers, 9 falls, and no winters. No, you can't fool with this stuff. You have to take it as it comes. So what can you change to make your life work? You have to start with your philosophy. Guess what I had to do at age 25 to change my future? I had to change my mind, my thinking, and my philosophy. I was messed up on what was causing my problems. Once I straightened out my thinking and stopped blaming the government, taxes, the marketplace, the economy, high costs, negative relatives, and cynical neighbors, and started addressing the real problem, which was me, my life exploded with change. My bank account changed immediately. My income changed immediately. My whole life took on a new look and color immediately. The early results I got from making these philosophical changes tasted so good that I've never stopped the process from that day until now. With a little consideration of refining your sail by setting a better sail and refining your philosophy, your whole life can start to change from today onward. You don't have to wait until tomorrow, next month, or spring. You don't have to wait until next year. You can start this whole process immediately. I recommend it. Now, some people do so little thinking they don't even have their sail up. Imagine where they're going to wind up at the end of this week, this month, or this year. Now's the chance to change. Process all this information. Number 1 is philosophy, and we've dealt with all that. We get ideas from personal experience and other people's experiences. I won't go into all the details because we covered that last time I was here. But philosophy is number 1. In my opinion, each person's personal philosophy defines success and failure. Just make this note. Here is failure. A few errors in judgment repeated every day. Now you can automatically assume. Mr. John, I can understand that a few errors in judgment repeated every day for 6 years can have a significant impact. As for my father, I think I told this story the last time I was here. My father, 88 years old, has never been ill and still hasn't retired. Not long ago, at midnight, we were getting ready to go to bed. We had drilled a new well, got some extra water and some more acres. He was all excited at midnight while we were getting ready for bed. My father was eating what he calls his midnight snack a little bit before bed. "Don't go to bed hungry," he always says. As I watched him eat this midnight snack, I noticed he had an apple, a few graham crackers, and a glass of grapefruit juice. I thought, no wonder my father is so healthy. My mom taught us all those good health practices. She taught me when I was growing up, and I'm an only child. I've never been ill past the age of 5. My 2 daughters have never been ill, and my grandkids have never been ill. The legacy lingers on. As I watched my father have this midnight snack, it suddenly occurred to me. I know that's part of it. An apple a day, that's got to be it. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's a good question for this intelligent audience. What if that's true? You might say, well, Mr. Allen, if that's true, it would be easy to do. Then what's the problem? It's easy not to do. It's easy not to adopt it as your own personal philosophy. Consider the guy who says, a Hershey bar a day. No, you've been watching too much television. It is not a Hershey bar. You've got to be smarter in philosophy than to fall for the Hershey bar a day when it's an apple a day. You've got to be smarter than that. If you make that kind of error in judgment every day for 6 years, it will accumulate into disaster. Sometimes in the first year you might say, well, I'm so healthy now, what difference is it going to make? You've got to be smarter than that. Just because disaster doesn't fall on us at the end of the first day doesn't mean disaster isn't coming. You have to look down the road and ask, will the errors in my present judgment or philosophy cost me in 1 year, 6 years, 1 month, 6 months? The cost in money, health, and success is too great. If you look down the road a little ways and see errors in your current judgment, like choosing a Hershey bar over an apple, you need to correct them. At age 25, I found myself in a similar position. I started working when I was 19. I met my teacher, who helped turn my life around when I was 25. That's 6 years. At the end of the first 6 years of my economic life, I had pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and creditors calling saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. I was embarrassed and behind on my promises. I lived in America, a 25-year-old American male with a nice family and every reason to do well, and I had messed up. What was messed up? I used to think it was the community, the country, the government. I thought if the Democrats got in the White House, that would mess things up. If the Republicans stayed in power, that would mess things up. I blamed the economy, interest rates, everything, but I found out that's not what was messed up. I was criticizing the only thing I had to work with. What was really messed up was my own personal philosophy. My own errors in judgment, in my own personal philosophy, brought me in 6 years to having pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and trying to explain why I wasn't doing well. Living in America, a 25-year-old American male with a family and every reason to do well, I realized the problem was within me. Now, once I understood this, here's the formula for failure, errors, and judgment being lax about developing your own personal philosophy. I'm telling you, it's called accumulated disaster. It doesn't matter whether it's your health or your bank account. Guy's got an empty bank account, probably has high cholesterol. Why? Over the last 6 years, he never paid attention to either one. And it doesn't matter whether it's $1 or whether it's your money or whether your cholesterol count, all you got to do is commit the errors. And just because disaster doesn't fall on you at the end of the first day that you don't eat an apple, you say, well, I didn't eat an apple today and tonight I'm not ill. Well, you got to be brighter than that someday. You got to leave first grade. The reason we make those first grade desks so small so they won't fit at age 25. Right? You don't belong here anymore. Come on now, let me give you the secret to success. The formula for failure. A few errors in judgment. Repeated every day for 1 month starts the weakness, starts the disaster process. You can imagine what happens in 6 years. Here's the formula for success. A few simple discipline practiced every day. And you've started a whole new process called a whole new life. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. And if you decide today to go for the apple instead of the Hershey bar, I'm telling you, you have begun the process of turning your life around. And if you keep up that process, not only with your health habits, but with your money habits and with your communication habits, with your sales habits and management habits and every other habit that you've got. If you'll start that process, eliminate the errors, and replace it with disciplines practiced. I'm telling you, you can start this process of life change immediately after today. You don't ever have to be the same again, only by choice. You don't have to walk out of here the same as you walked in today. Only by choice, you can start a whole new process. You say, well, Mr. John, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Where else would you start? But with an apple, you don't have to start with something staggering. What if you should be walking around the block for your good health and you don't? What will that do in 6 years? I'm telling you, the word is disaster. You could and you should and you don't. Here's an even stronger word. You won't. I mean, don't mind you're careless. Won't probably mean you're stubborn, and neither one is called disaster. You could should go. I'm telling you. That's why at the end of 5 years, 6 years I've found myself with pennies in my pocket. Nothing in the bank. Creditors calling could, should. What could, should, don't. It's called disaster. Now, how do you change all that the next 6 years? I got rid of the next 6 years. I became a millionaire. By the time I'm 31, I'm a millionaire. How about that? You say, well, Mr. Rowland, what happened? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. I'm telling you, taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were the same. I'm telling you, the economy was about the same, and prices were about the same, and everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same. So I said, well, why did you go to work on to do all that? I started with my philosophy. I started amending my errors by doing some better thinking, changing my mind, coming up with ideas that I didn't have before I met my teacher. And once that whole process started for me, I'm telling you, I changed my whole life within a 6-year period. I was never the same. And I've kept up that process all these years. One of the reasons why I'm here is to continue my craft. I don't want the day to come someday. Somebody says, you should have heard Jim Rohn 10 years ago when he was really terrific. Yes. What I want people to say, I heard him 10 years ago, but you should hear him now. I'm telling you, the man works on his craft. I'm telling you, the man's done some extra reading. I'm telling you, the man doesn't miss a trick. I'm telling you, he's worked hard on himself. That's why he's able to deliver like he does. The same thing can happen for you as a teenager. It can happen to you as a mother, as a father, as a business person, as a salesperson. Running a business doesn't matter management wherever you find yourself. This is the process called personal change. And what I say to start with is start with your own philosophy. Your philosophy is going to determine whether or not you go for the disciplines or continue the errors. That's called potential disaster. And everybody has it within their power. What was so happy for me to find out, Mr. Schoaf said, Mr. John, you don't have to change country, but you do have to change philosophy. And if you will change philosophy, not country, you can turn around your income, you can turn around your bank account, you can turn around your skills, you can become capable, powerful, sophisticated, healthy, influential, all the other equities that you could possibly want out of your life, using the only stuff there is and not trying to change any of this stuff. I appreciate all of this stuff with all of its ups and downs, with all of it. Mystery of why it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. Don't challenge this. You don't have to ask for another planet. You don't have to ask for another country. Just ask for another book, ask for another seminar, ask for another idea, and you can start this whole process of personal life change. Now, I could spend the whole day on philosophy because that's where it is. If I could get you intrigued with that, enough to study it, enough to ponder it, to where you would pick up the commitment like I did and say, hey, as simple as an apple a day, as simple as a walk around the block, why not start right there? If you don't start there, where else are you going to start? Might as well start where it's easy and then go to the more complicated disciplines, because if you can't handle the complex, the simple disciplines, how can you handle the complicated world? Key philosophy. Here's number 2, attitude. We're affected by how we feel. First, we are affected by what we know and the decisions we make. Second, we're affected by our attitude, how we feel. Let me explain. How you feel about the past. You must have a good attitude about the past. Use it as a school, not a club. Don't beat yourself to death with your past faults, failures, and losses. Let the past be a school, a teacher, not to threaten you, but to teach you. How you feel about the future. Set your goals. The promise of the future is an awesome force that affects your life every day. Without a well-designed future, we take hesitant steps. If you take hesitant steps for 6 years, you'll be timid, driven into a corner, not boldly willing to go and take your share. How you feel about everybody else. You must have a good attitude about others because it takes everybody to make a market. One person doesn't make a family, a business, a corporation, a community, or a nation. It takes all of us to make a dynamic economy and a nation second to none. The ethnic strains that have flowed in here over the last 200 years have brought their gifts, talents, skills, inventions, and work ethic all mixed together. It's called America, and there's been nothing like it in 6,500 years of recorded history. To miss the value of it because of a warped attitude is to miss it all. If you appreciate it, you'll draw from it. You can transform your days, business, conversation, and equities to an incredible degree by drawing from all the gifts that have been blended together here. How you feel about yourself. Understanding self-worth is the beginning of progress. Self-worth should be easy. If one of us can do it, all of us can do it. If anybody can think it, we all can think it. I can read, you can read. I can understand, you can understand. The few simple things I did and tried revolutionized my life in 5 years. Anyone can do it. Change from pennies to fortune, from nothing to something, from broke to rich. Any of us can do it. That's the value you should place on yourself. If someone else can understand it, so can you. If they can read, find it, change, and get it done, so can you. That's the attitude about yourself that is so valuable. In transforming our lives, we don't start with attitude or inspiration. We start with education. Some people think they just need to get motivated, but that probably won't do it. Life change does not start with inspiration. It starts with education. You have to be educated to understand where you might have messed up. My teacher put it in blunt, simple language. He only went to the 9th grade in school, so he put it in terms I could understand. He said, Mr. John, after 6 years living in America, a healthy American male, 25 years old, working for 6 years with 1 year of college, if you have pennies in your pocket, nothing in the bank, and are behind on your promises, you've messed up. Said, substituting a Hershey bar for an apple means you've messed up. You should walk around the block. If you could walk around the block but don't, you've messed up. You don't need a teacher to tell you that. You can be your own best teacher by listing where you've messed up. If you let one area slip, it probably affects the rest. So we don't start with inspiration. We start with education. If it isn't going well and you live in America, you have messed up. You don't need to change countries. Blaming the country is like cursing the soil, seed, sunshine, and rain, which is all you've got. Don't curse all you've got. When you get your own planet, you can rearrange things, but here you have to take it as it comes. Here is number 3, activity. This is the work part, the labor part, taking action. Activity is the miracle working piece. A miracle is something we don't quite understand how it works, but it does work. God says, if you plant the seed, I'll make the tree. That's a good arrangement. It gives God the tough end of the deal. What if you had to make the tree? That would keep you up late at night trying to figure out how to make a tree. The mystery of the miracle of life is already set up. God has the miracle, the seasons, the sunshine, and the rain arranged. He just needs someone to plant the seed. In California, some people try to chant to get things done. Forget that. You don't need to rub a crystal or sleep under a pyramid. Getting rich and changing your life is too easy to complicate with such things. If you neglect the simple, easy stuff, it piles up year after year. If you're willing to straighten it out, your life can change dramatically. And here's one of the keys. It's called activity. It's called disciplines. Turning wisdom from your philosophy and inspiration. The strengthening of attitude and faith and courage, commitment, all this stuff that comes from attitude. If you're willing to take these two qualities, philosophy and attitude, and invest it into activity, you can have a miracle. Anything short of that, no miracle wisdom doesn't perform. Miracle attitude doesn't perform a miracle. The only thing that performs the miracle of increase called equity is gall, putting wisdom and attitude into discipline, into labor. And this labor now can perform a miracle. And here are the two parts to the labor. 1, do what you can. 2, do the best you can. I can't give you better advice than that. First, do what you can. After today, go home and make a list. Ask yourself this question as you make the list. What am I not doing that would be easy to do and could greatly change my health, my wealth? What am I neglecting that would be easy to do? Just go home and answer that question personally. You don't have to put the answers on a public bulletin board. This is all personal stuff, from walking around the block to eating an apple to managing your money. We'll cover what to do with your money today, including what a child should do with $1. Simple errors in judgment, followed by a few simple disciplines, can lead to unimaginable results. If you pick up the activity part, the miracle working part, the planting the seed part, and take care of your part, the soil will take care of its part, the seed will take care of its part, and the seasons will take care of their part. The miracle will take care of its part if you take care of your part by putting it into activity. Action works miracles. 2,000 years ago, on April 13th, one of Jesus' disciples, now I'm an amateur on the Bible, but as best as I can remember, said to Jesus, "It's time to pay our taxes and we don't have any money." This is how I know it was about April 13th. Jesus' response, as I can read the record, was, "No problem." Then, why could he say that? Well, word has it that he was a miracle worker. If you hand a problem to a miracle worker, what would you be inclined to say? No problem. You have to hang out with folks like that. I belong to a small group like that. We do business around the world. When you hand these guys a problem, they say, "No problem." How many books do they read to solve it? As many as it takes. How early do they get up? As early as needed. How much information do they gather? As much as they need. That's why they say, "No problem." You have to hang out with folks like that. Jesus said, "This will be no problem, the tax thing." He said to his disciple, "It's simple. Go fishing." Wow. Now that was easy for this particular disciple. His name was Peter, and Peter was a fisherman. How clever. But here's the real problem. If you should fish, and you could fish, and you don't fish, you get no miracle. You could change, you should change, but if you won't change, that's called accumulated disaster. In 6 years, you'll be explaining instead of celebrating, with a ragged list like I had of reasons for not doing well, and pennies in your pocket. Could, should, don't, disaster. But if you start the process of change, could, should, and will, you can start this whole process. And if you put it into action, the miracle belongs to you. Jesus said to his disciple, "It'll be simple. Go fishing. And the first fish you catch, look in its mouth." Peter said, "Okay." He was used to strange things happening in this relationship. Peter goes fishing, catches the first fish, looks in its mouth, and guess what's in the fish's mouth? Coins. Peter says, "Wow," and starts counting the value of these coins. He adds it up, and guess how much it adds up to? Exactly enough money to pay his taxes and Jesus's taxes, which gives you Jesus's position on taxes. Now, we call that a miracle only because we don't quite understand how it works. It doesn't mean it doesn't work, it simply means we don't quite understand how it works.